Okay, for this pattern, this skirt, you can either use your own hip measurement or you can use the measurements that are provided in the written description. If you decide to use your own measurement, then you're just going to take the measurement of the widest part of your hips. So mine is, I've got the loudest tape measure in the world. What is that? So where am I? I'm working in centimetres. So I am about, oh my gosh, 92 centimetres for me around my hips. Yes. So if you're using cotton yarn, I definitely recommend you add about 2.5 centimetres to that measurement. I'm using acrylic. I might add like 1.5 centimetres maybe, just to give it a bit of extra stretch. So we're going to make it to the hip measurement. So it's literally going to be like a tube, a long tube, and that way you can pull it up over your hips. So shall I show you how I wear my skirt? Because you do have a bit of excess fabric that bunches up. So yeah, let me show you that. Okay, so I can't really get closer to the camera because it's a bit awkward. But as you can see, I've got a bit of excess baggage going on here. So I've got my little tie, which I'm just going to tie up to where I want my skirt to sit. Like so. And that's kind of gathered the fabric, so to speak. It's gathered it all. So what I'm going to do is just take my fingers and run it smooth along the front and then bring the gathers towards the back. I'm not going to like right bunch them up. I'm just going to smooth it out around the front and then have my gathers more towards the back area. Don't know if you can see that okay. It's a bit awkward really, I can't get close to the camera. And I've got a bit of a mum podge, excuse me, yeah. Mummy podge. Need to sort that out. It's been 4.5 years. Never mind. Okay, so yeah. Just push it smooth to the front and have it a bit more bunched at the back. Should we crack on then? Okay, so as I explained earlier, we're just going to be making a long tube, basically. Just working in the round to the same measurement, and then we're going to add a little belt, which when we do it up, it's just going to be a chain with little tassels on it, so that when we do it up, it will just bring it in a bit. And then, like I say, I'll push the excess fabric around to the back, just to make it sit nicer. So hopefully you've got your hip measurement. If you would prefer to use my measurements, then that's absolutely fine. I'll include them in the written description. I'm going to use this one today, a Mandela cake. I've had this in my stash for ages, so I can't wait to see how it works up. Hopefully I can get a size small out of the whole thing. 540 metres. Let's hope so. Otherwise I'm going to be like, I need to find another one. So yeah, I'm going to use that and a 4mm hook. It's quite a good skirt anyway, it's not too gappy. So yeah, I use a 4mm hook with this yarn as well. This is another DK CCBB, that one that I'm not quite sure how to pronounce. But it was lovely how it's worked up. Look at that. Very nice. Yeah, so that's about it really, I think. Should we do it? Yes, let's start. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to make a foundation single crochet. We're going to use that because it's got a lot of stretch to it and it's really good for made to measure garments. It just comes out at a more accurate measurement. I'm not going to do a full blown tutorial on how to do the foundation single crochet in this tutorial, but I do have a separate tutorial which I will link in the video in the comments section if you would like to know how to do it in full detail. So I am using an acrylic yarn which has got quite a bit of stretch to it. my hip measurement was 92 centimetres. I'm going to add 1 centimetre onto that to make it 93, just so I've got a little bit of a movement. If you are using cotton yarn, you will definitely need to add at least 2 centimetres onto your hip measurement, because even though we're doing the foundation single crochet, cotton yarn doesn't really stretch as well as what acrylic does. So definitely add 2 centimetres onto your hip measurement. So let's go. Okay. So I am now working to 93 centimetres because I've added an extra centimetre onto mine. So basically we need to have, when we're done and joined it in the round, we need to have an even number of stitches. Now because we're doing a foundation single crochet and I'm going to join it in the round, we're going to work to an odd number, and then when we come to join it in the round, we're going to be joining it with our final stitch, which will make it an even number. So confusing, I know, but if you've just watched my tutorial on how to do the foundation single crochet, everything is in there that you need to know. So for me, I need to foundation single crochet until I reach 93 centimetres and I have an odd number of stitches. So I'm going to start off my foundation single crochet by chaining 2. Coming back to my first chain and putting my hook through the top 2 loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and go through the first loop only, yarn over and go through the last 2 loops. I'm just going through this very quickly because, like I say, I've already got a full tutorial on how to do this. So keep making your foundation single crochets. I can't even get it through the loops now, look. Until you reach your hip measurement plus 1 or 2 centimetres, depending if you're using cotton yarn. And it needs to be an odd number of stitches. So yeah, I will link the tutorial for the foundation single crochet, because I've literally just recorded it. It's now about to go on YouTube. But rather than going through it all twice, that one is more extensive and I'm using a thicker yarn so you can see the stitches easier compared to the one that I'm using right now, which feels so much thinner, I've got to be honest. I'm using chunky yarn in the other one. Okay, so keep making your foundation single crochet until you get to your hip measurement, or the chart using the measurements that I provided in the written description, plus 1 centimetre if you're using acrylic yarn, or plus 2 to 3 centimetres if you're using cotton. And I'll meet you back here when you have an odd number of stitches at the correct measurement that you are working towards. Just me again, because there's one very important thing that I totally forgot to mention, is when you are measuring your chain, you're going to have to stretch it out as far as you can. So don't measure it loose. So, which is good news because it means you don't have to do as many stitches. But I need to get to 93. I've got a bit of a way to go. When I'm stretching mine out, I'm reaching 45. So make sure you've got it as taut as it can be when you're measuring. Don't forget that, because that's very, very important. So keep going until you reach your measurement. Stretched out, not loose, stretched out. Okay, so I've just reached my measurement, and by some miracle, I actually had an odd number of stitches. So remember, I can't fit it all in the shot very well, but remember when you're measuring, don't just have it loose like this. You got to pull it as tight as you can to get to your measurement. So what we're going to do now is join it in the round. I will show you how I join it in the round, but it is also part of that tutorial that I sent, that I've linked in the video. So you need an odd number of stitches to join it in the round, because we're going to use our final stitch to join it, which will then give us an even number of stitches. Okay. Okay, so to join it in the round, we are going to start making another foundation single crochet. So I'm going to put my hook through the 2 loops, yarn over and pull up a loop. Now what I'm going to do is run my fingers through my chain and get out any kinks or twists. I'm going to use my other hand just to hold that there, like so. So currently it's like it's upside down. This is the bottom and this is the top. I'm literally just going to twist it this little bit here like this and bring it round like that. So all I've done is just tilted my fingers up like that and like that. Those 2 movements. Oh no, hang on, that's not okay, and then I'm going to pinch this bit here like so. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to work in the bottom of the very first foundation single crochet. I don't know how tricky this is going to be to see because my stitches are quite small, but like I say, I do have a tutorial on this and I'm using thicker yarn, so it's much easier to see. But we bring it in a bit close. Oh no, we're a bit going out of zoom there. Can you see that little bit? That's what I'm after. That is where I'm going to put my hook. Oh, stop going out of focus. Ah. Oh, it's been a bit of a bugger, isn't it? Let me zoom in one more and see if that might help. Whoop. Okay, there we go. That's good, isn't it? So this is my first foundation single crochet. I'm going to insert my hook right through the bottom of it. I'm not going in this little bit here because this little bit here is my slip knot. We're just going to ignore that. So there we go, that hole right there. Put your hook through there and yarn over. Just get my tail end. Yarn over and bring up a loop. Oh, I'm going out of shot now because I'm so zoomed in. You should now have 3 loops on your hook. We're now going to do kind of like a slip stitch. So we're going to slip stitch this hook, this loop under this one. So just grab that first loop and do a slip stitch underneath that very first loop. That still gives us 2 loops on our hook. We've now slip stitched the bottom together. So what we're going to do now is sort out the top bit. So we're going to do a single crochet with these 2 loops. So we're just going to yarn over and come through both of those loops. And that's a single crochet. And now we just need to slip stitch it to the top of the first stitch. So my stitches are quite small. It's quite tricky to see, but I'm kind of on top of it. Basically where you've just gone in the bottom, we're going to go through the top with a slip stitch. The top 2 loops, do a slip stitch, and there we go. We have joined in the round. Let me just zoom out a little bit. And hopefully that has given me an even number of stitches. How far do I zoom out? I don't even know. Back to the normal. And there we go. It's not twisted or anything like that because I ran my fingers along it. Not twisted. There we go. Nice and easy. Okay, so now we're on to round 2. So we're going to be doing trebles and chain spaces. I forgot to say at the beginning that this pattern is in US terms. Always great to add that in right here. I'll have to make a mental note to add it to the pattern in writing. into the tutorial I'm writing. So yes, we're going to be doing some trebles and some chain spaces, and this is going to be our waistband, which we're going to weave the chain through at the end, our little belt. So to begin with, we are going to chain 5, and that's going to be our first treble and a chain space. So now you're going to skip the next stitch and you're going to go in the next one with a treble. So you yarn over twice for your treble, skip the next stitch, insert your hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, go through the first 2, go through the next 2, go through the last 2. You're like, why are you telling me this? I probably know a treble anyway. Chain 1, skip the next stitch and put a treble crochet in the next one. And we're just going to keep doing this all the way around. Chain 1, skip a stitch, treble in the next one. Chain 1, skip a stitch, treble in the next stitch. All the way around until you get to the end. Don't forget that chain 1 in between each treble. And then that's going to give you these little window spaces, the chain spaces. So I'll meet you back here when you've done all the way around. Okay, so I'm right near the end of my round. Everything's worked out perfectly. I have got an even amount of stitches. My chain, not my chain, but my foundation row wasn't twisted in the round, which we kind of knew anyway, but sometimes you do and you think, oh no, that is twisted. But not this time, everything's gone well. I shouldn't say that actually, should I? So I have now got left to do a chain 1, and then join to the 4th chain of the chain 5 from the beginning of the previous, not the previous round, from the beginning of the round. If you're thinking, oh, what's chain 4? That's a bit confusing. Literally just count back 1 chain and then go in the next one. So yeah, I've got 1 chain here. I'm going to go in my next one. I'm going to put my hook in there and I was going to join it together with a slip stitch. And that is round 2. So round 3, we are going to keep working on the right side, but after this round, we will be turning after each round. But for this one, we're still going to be working on the right side. So what we're going to do is we are going to slip stitch straight into this first chain space. So just put a slip stitch in there. And now we're going to chain 3, which is going to class as your first double crochet, and you're going to put another double crochet back into that same chain space. Now you're going to put 2 double crochets in your next chain space and 2 double crochets in every single chain space in this round. So 2 double crochets in every single chain space. Oh, what am I doing? So it's going to look like that. So keep going all the way around, placing 2 double crochets in every chain space, and I'll meet you when you get to the end of the round. Okay, I'm right near the end of my round. I've got 2 more double crochets to put in my last chain space. And then I'm going to join it to the top of the chain 3 with a slip stitch. So now that you're a few rounds in, I would suggest just trying this on to see if you can slip it over your hips and your waist area. If your waist is bigger than your hips, then you're probably going to need to take your waist measurement I probably should have said that a bit earlier on, but in general, usually your hips are a bit wider than your waist. So yeah, but I'll just give this a little try on. I've just tried mine on. I'm real happy with it. So I'm ready for round 4. Is it? It kind of is round 4. It seems weird because we've kind of only done 2, but the foundation single crochet classes as round 1. Okay, so next round. From here on out, we're now going to be turning after every round to keep our seam in the centre and not on a diagonal. So what we're going to do is we are immediately going to turn our work before we do anything else. And what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch in the next stitch. Not this one, not the first one. You're going to just place a slip stitch in the next stitch. And then you're going to put a slip stitch in between these 2 double crochets. So you're going to go straight down in between the 2 double crochets and place a slip stitch. So you've not actually gone into a stitch for that one, you have gone in between the 2 double crochets from the previous round. And that's what you're going to be working into from now on. So we're going to chain 3, and then you're going to place another double crochet in between these 2 double crochets. It's every double crochet, like the 2 double crochets that you put in the chain space. You're going to be working in between those 2 stitches. Okay, so put another double crochet in between the 2 double crochets, and then you're going to come to the next set of 2 double crochets and put 2 double crochets in between them. So 2 double crochets in between the next 2 double crochets from the previous round. It's a bit of a mouthful, but once you get the hang of it, it's just like, oh yeah, this is easy. So not going in this gap, this between all the 2 double crochets. We're not going in any of those gaps. We are literally placing 2 double crochets in between the 2 double crochets that are in the chain spaces. So 2 double crochets in between the next 2 doubles, 2 double crochets in between the next 2 doubles. It's kind of like a V stitch, but without the chain in the middle, because when you do a V stitch, you do double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the same space. And then as you do your next round, you go in that chain space, which is like a V, and then you put your double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. It's kind of like that, but we're not doing a chain 1 in the middle because we're making the gap smaller. It does look nice with the chain 1 in the middle, but you might see your underwear. That's the only thing I was thinking. So we have kept it as just putting 2 doubles in the doubles. It's the only way I can think to describe it. So coming to your next set of 2 double crochets, you're going to put 2 doubles in between those stitches. Again, 2 doubles in between your next 2 double crochets, and you're just going to keep repeating that all the way around. 2 double crochets in between the 2 double crochets from the previous round. So keep doing that all the way around. And basically this row, or round, sorry, that we're now doing, we are going to keep repeating until the end. And I know you might think, oh my gosh, what? But yeah, it's actually a very mindless project because you don't have to count your stitches. You don't have to do any counting. You're just putting 2 double crochets in between the 2 double crochets from the previous round. So you could literally pop a film on, chill, have a cup of tea, or G&T or something, I don't know. Just put your feet up and do a bit of mindless crocheting. And even better if you're using a yarn cake like me, No colour changes. Although I do love my colour changes, but I don't love my ends at all. So yeah, just keep putting 2 double crochets in between every single set of 2 doubles. It's going to start to look like that. Kind of like the V-stitch, but without the chain in the middle. I'll meet you back here when you get to the end of the round. Okay, so I'm right at the end of my round. I've just got 2 more double crochets to put in between the last set of 2 double crochets. So I'm going to do that. And then we're just going to join it to the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the round with a slip stitch. And that is the round that you are literally going to be repeating until you reach your desired length. So let me show you one more time how you start the round off, because that's basically the only thing you got to remember. You might have to rewind it if you're a bit like, oh, how did you do that again? I'll put the timestamps in here anyway, especially for this round. So you're going to turn. You're not going to do anything just yet apart from turn your work. And then you're going to go in the very next stitch, which is the first of the 2 double crochets from the previous round. You'll be going in that stitch with a slip stitch. We are literally just slip stitching our way to the first set of 2 double crochets. And then you're going to go in between those 2 double crochets with a slip stitch. And then you're ready to go again. Hang on, I've done that a bit tight. Ugh. And then you're ready to go again. So you chain 3. And then you go back into that same gap with another double crochet. And then just keep going in between every set of 2 double crochets from the previous round with 2 double crochets. There's a lot of 2 double crochets going on here. So going in between every set of 2 double crochets with 2 double crochets. And that is it. And you're going to keep doing this round until you reach your desired length. Now, if you're making it for yourself, absolutely keep trying it on and stop when you're happy with it. If you're making it for someone else in a different size and you're not quite sure, I have provided an estimate, but that is mini skirt, because that's the length that I've designed this skirt to be, is mini skirt. I think for mine, other one, I think I went to about 37 centimetres for a size small. I think that's what I went to. So yeah, I'll probably go for that again. But yeah, that is it, everybody. Keep putting 2 double crochets in between every 2 double crochets from the previous round. And then it's going to start to look like this. And let me get the one that I've already made. There we go. Obviously, when you're working on it, it's going to be upside down. But when you turn it round, this is the way it's going to sit. Have I got it? Oh, no, I've got it. This is my seam. Where are we? You can only really tell the seam because I've used a yarn cake. Hang on a minute, let's just move this up. I suppose you can kind of see it. It's here. There's my seam. But obviously you can see my jaggedness with the yarn cakes. But it's quite a good hidden seam, apart from because I've used the yarn cake. If you was to change colour every round, you might not even notice. And if you was to change colour every round, you wouldn't have to do your little slip stitching across, because you'd just join your yarn. You'd turn your work, and then join your yarn straight in between the 2 double crochets. So yeah, that's what it looks like. So as you can see, it's just rows. Every 2 double crochets, they're all in rows, because you're just going in between them every single time with 2 double crochets. So keep working up this stitch and these exact same rounds until you reach the length that you desire, or using my measurements chart, and then we will do the little belt with the tassels, and that's it. Lovely, simple little skirt. So I'll meet you back here when you have your full length skirt. Okay, so I've been busy adding length to my skirt and I'm happy with where it's at right now. I've stopped, I think it's about 34 centimetres. Cover your ears because I've got to use my ridiculously loud tape measure. I really need to get a different one, I think. Yeah, I'm about 34 centimetres and I made a size small. Because it's for myself, I just kept putting it on and was like, yeah, that's covering all the bits I needed to cover. I'm happy with that. So yes, keep going until you're happy with the length of your skirt. I might also pop some measurements in the written description if you want to have a look at them and try and aim for them maybe and then see how you feel. It's up to you. So the next section and the final section is adding a tie for the waist area, the waistband. Literally all I'm going to do is a chain, and then once my chain is long enough, I'm going to weave it through all these little squares here. I'm going to add some tassels on the end of the chain, and that is it. So I think my last skirt for a size small, I think I chained to 120 centimetres. I'm going to do that right now, but if I'm wrong, I will correct myself. I will also provide some measurements as well for this section. Literally. So yeah. Also what I was going to say is I used Lion brand Mandela yarn, and look how much I've got left. I've still got this. So that's quite good, isn't it? I made a size small and I've still got a bit left. Plenty enough to do my chain, obviously. Can't get that back on there now. Oh, oh my goodness. Sorry. Here we go. So yes, we are literally just going to do a chain. I might go up a hook size for my chain actually. I've been using a 4mm for my skirt because I didn't really want it to be see-through. It's pretty, isn't it? Pretty colours. But I'm going to go up a hook size for my chain. That's optional. If you want to do that, you can. If you don't, it really doesn't matter. So yeah, this bit's nice and easy. What I tend to do, I haven't done it just yet, but I do just tend to find a space where I can stretch my tape measure out as far as it'll go, or near to 120, because that's what I'm aiming for at the moment. And then I just make a chain, go over to it and measure it against the tape measure. Or if you're making it for yourself, put it around your waist area where you want your skirt to sit, and then have a little tie with it and see where it all sits. And I didn't want my tie to be too long. That's why I stopped around 120. I keep saying 120 when I'm really actually not that sure, but I feel like it was. So we'll find out in a minute. I'll just do a few chains on here. Don't need to count your chains, so don't worry about any of that. Just do regular chain until it's long enough to go around your waist and tie in like a normal bow tie, do you call it? You know, with the two bows and the loops and blah blah blah. Like how you tie your shoelaces. So yeah, keep making your chain and I'll meet you back here when it's long enough. Okay, so I've just made my chain and I did go to 120 centimetres and it was perfect. So I'm just going to fasten off. Like so, and pull that tight. Got chain mixed up with my yarn, it's all over the place. Let's move out of the way. Okay, so now you need to decide, where do you want your seam to sit? I want mine to go down the centre back is what I've decided. I mean, you could have it at the side or at the back. I'm aiming for centre back. I think that looks okay. Just move it around a little bit more. Have we gone a bit too far? I think that seems okay from what I can see. So I'm just going to flip it back round again. Oh, my tummy's rumbling. So that seems a bit like the centre to me, I hope. I'm just eyeballing it, literally just eyeballing it. If it's not right, I can always redo it. But basically, you're just going to get your chain and you're just going to weave it in and around your posts from the beginning of the skirt. So where are we again? That's my back bit there. So I'm just going to come in and just weave it around every single post. In and out, in and out. So yeah, weaving it in and out all the way around until I come all the way around here and I come back to the middle. So I'll meet you back here when you've done that. Okay, so I've just weaved in my waistband. I'm actually really happy with how it's looking. It looks a bit crazy through the camera lens, but in real life, I'm really loving the contrast, the brown with the blue. Looks quite smart. So, next section is, to finish off, we're just going to add some tassels to the end of our chains to stop them looking all scraggy. If you've got any beads or anything like that, you can add them on before you do your tassels. I mean, I just had a look to see what beads I have. I've got some lovely beads, but they're a bit small. Unfortunately, they're a bit small to go over my chain. I need to get some better ones, really, some bigger ones. So yeah, if you want to add some beads, pop them on now onto your chain before you make your tassels. So for your tassels, you're going to need a sharp pair of scissors, and it's completely optional, this, but I find it easy to wrap my yarn around something, like my phone is what I'm going to do. I'm going to wrap it around my phone. If you don't want to do that, where's my tape measure? It's on the floor. Then I would suggest cutting your yarn maybe to about 8 inches, I'd say. 8 or 9 inches. Cut each strand. We're going to have about 4, no, hang on, how many are we going to have? 5 strands you need to cut, about 8 inches long. 5 strands for each tassel. So in a total, that's going to be 10, isn't it, really? But another way to do it is to wrap it around something, and then you can just cut a load at once. This is good if you're doing fringe on something, probably. But yeah, I can't bother to cut 10 strands of yarn. So I'm just going to get my phone and just place my yarn here. I'm just going to wrap it around it like this. I think I've wrapped it about 12 times, but that's fine. And this is where you need your sharp scissors. Hang on, where are we? And you get your sharp scissors and just cut the yarn. Be careful with your sharp scissors. Do not cut your finger. Just snip it there. I've still got hold of it, because when I let go, I'm going to have to snip another bit from my yarn that I've been using. I can't get none of my words out. Ooh. I'm just going to hold this up. Oh, no, actually, I'll put it here like this. So I've just got that little strand there. I'm going to cut that. I've probably got way too many strands now, but that's fine, because if I was just doing this without showing you, it would have taken me about 20 seconds maybe, just to go bop, 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 snip, rather than measuring out 10 separate strands of yarn. Okay, so I am going to take 5 strands for each tassel. My tummy's rumbling, oh my goodness. Let's just zoom in a little bit here. I have loads of fun with tassels. I don't know if you've watched my boho sweetheart necklace one. Was it that one? I think it was. That all went flying out the window, that did. I couldn't get the tassels to go through. But it was alright. It was funny. So I'm going to take 5 strands of yarn. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. How many has that left me with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so what we're going to do is get one end of your chain. You're going to get your hook and you're going to go through the very first chain. Just put your hook through the chain and then put that down, because we're going to come back to that in a moment. So we're going to get a hold of our strands. Make sure they're kind of lining up a bit. Doesn't matter anyway, because we're going to trim the ends when we're done. So what you need to do, I can't quite fit the whole thing in where I've zoomed in, but you need to pick it up from the centre. So pinch it. This is what I do. I pinch it to pick it up. Then I get my hand and like form a little loop. So this is the centre of those strands. Now what we need to do is pull this loop through the very first chain. This is where it usually goes wrong for me. But it'll be okay. It'll be okay this time. I've got good vibes. So put your... Oh, hang on, we're all a bit blurry. Am I too close? Go on, get in focus. There we go. Right, get your hook and go through the centre of that loop, or all those loops. And then we need to use our hook to pull all those loops through that chain. Well, I've done it there. Oh, it's gone through lovely. Lovely jubblies. So now what I'm going to do is take my hook out and I'm going to put my finger, my forefinger and my thumb in there and just widen it a little bit. And now we need to pull all those strands through this loop, but we're also going to grab the tail end of your chain. So you've got your 5, well, in total now you should have about 10 strands of yarn. And you've got your chain. So this is, what I mean by that is if you look at this one that we haven't done yet, we've got this tail end. So you need to grab hold of that as well and pull that through. So just pinch it like that, pull it through, and then tighten it, like so. Now sometimes I like to go through each strand and just make sure that it is nice and tight. Sometimes I don't go too hard, because if you pull a strand too hard, you might pull it all the way out of the tassel. I think that's what I did on my other tutorial. Everything just went really wrong on that other tutorial, but it's funny, whatever, doesn't matter. Nothing's perfect. Okay, so that's nice and tight. That's my first one done. It's a bit messy, but I'm going to trim them both at the same time. So we're going to do the other one. I'll go through it with you again. Get your hook, go through the very first chain at the bottom and leave that in there and put that down. Let's just move that one out of the way. And that one. Get your other strands of yarn. Oh no, I've got too many here because I cut too many, so I need to take 2 of mine out. So I've got 5 strands here. Oh my goodness, my tummy. I don't know if you heard that. Oh, I hope you didn't hear that. That was so loud. What on earth? Okay, so we're going to pinch it right in the middle and pick it up to form like a loop, like so. Put our hook through that loop and use the hook to pull all of those strands through that very first chain, making sure all of the strands go through. And then put your forefinger and your thumb in the loop and then get all the other strands along with the tail end from your chain and pull all of them through that loop and then tighten it up. It's going to give some of the ends, a little pull again, just to make sure we are nice and tight. And there we go. Lovely. So we've now got 2 tassels that are very long. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim them up together. Let me just move my crochet out of the way because I don't want to cut into that. That would be absolutely disastrous right at the end, just snip through the crochet. So what I'm going to do now is just line up the 2 tassels. And it doesn't matter where you cut them, depends how long you want them, doesn't it? I'm going to go about here, I think. I'm just going to chomp through all of them. Just like so. Oh my goodness, my tummy's making some crazy noises. Be quiet, please. Trying to do things. And that's it. That is it, everybody. You now have a lovely little skirt made from a yarn cake. I can't quite fit it all in, but there it is. Lovely jubblies. And then you just use these to tie it up, just like you was doing your shoelaces. And then that can cinch the waistband in. I tend, like I said at the beginning of the video, I tend to bring all that excess fabric to the back. It just makes it look a bit more fitted from the front. Lovely. So thank you so much for joining me on this tutorial. I'm very excited to bring my next one to you. It's going to be a festival style vest, so keep your eyes peeled for that one, because that is also made from a yarn cake. Well, you can use whatever you want really, but it does work amazingly well with a yarn cake. So yes, I'll see you again very soon. If you like my channel, please like and subscribe to keep on top of future content. Thank you ever so much. See you again soon. Bye.